Oh, hey!
Hey!
Because this is unexpected.
Yeah, I get the feeling that,
We're just gonna go through them all.
Yep! I love this game! It's so good!
It's I do like this game. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting.
No, I think it's fun too.
Over the top and ridiculous, but it's like I don't know. It just seems like the writers were just like, nah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It's...
How about that camera messing up?
Yeah. So there were a couple of other things, by the way, that I learned were different between this version and the special edition.
Oh, yeah.
That I didn't touch on last episode when I actually started talking about it. But apparently, so there's an ability that you can get called speed, right?
Yes, the sprint.
So in the original version, there actually was an acceleration to it, where it would take, a couple of seconds, if not maybe more, to actually reach your full speed. Apparently, in this game, it ramps up almost immediately.
Oh, okay.
Which, seems pretty inconsequential, but I think really what that means is that the game just kind of goes faster, which apparently tied in with turbo mode and all sorts of other things like that. It makes the game overall much, much faster than it was originally. So I thought that was interesting, especially because we haven't been playing it on turbo mode. So a lot of, the reviewer that I listened to said once you play on turbo mode, it's hard to go back. You get so used to it that everything just feels too sluggish. But, it doesn't seem slow to us, right?
Not really.
So I don't know, I thought that was a very interesting perspective on the whole thing. But another thing that I learned was that, so you know how you were saying, there are those things that only Nero or Dante can trigger to get the blue orb fragments? Apparently in the original version, Nero and Dante could enter each other's secret missions.
Oh.
And you wouldn't be able to do it because you were the wrong character. You didn't have the right fighting style for it or whatever. But in the special edition, it sounds like they limited it. Now, I don't know if that's completely right because all I went through was whatever sources I found online. But if that is the case, I feel like that was just an oversight on the designers in the original version because that shouldn't have been allowed anyway,
Yeah.
We're
back to these bitches.
I also found out why Trish and Lady are the one character kind of duo like Nero and Dante are, is because you use Lady for Nero's missions and you use Trish for Dante's missions.
Okay.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, I get it. They wanted to have something similar to how the normal game was played.
But then you have, what's his face?
God. This is bullshit. I'm sorry. That is bullshit. They freeze you in ice. It shows you shaking yourself off. Yes, when you're in his mouth, you can activate Double Trigger and you'll automatically jump right out. But
you pretty much have to get eaten.
That's bullshit. I'm sorry. They freeze you in ice and give you the idea if you hit the button enough or move around and button mash, you'll be able to break out of the ice and move out of the way. Or maybe you just have to activate Double Trigger and it automatically does whatever. But I hate this boss. I hate it.
Are you following the one of our commenters' advice and hitting the ice spikes?
Yeah, and you know what? It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So we're back here.
Is this just before we fought that dude?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. I was actually wondering what the continue system actually did. What's the cost other than backtracking?
I don't know.
Do you lose orbs or anything?
Maybe. I don't know. I think the little blue things that you get after doing a couple missions or whatever to purchase abilities, you don't get as much or something. I don't know. All I know is yay.
I mean, I'm sure it hurts your final score at the very least.
Yeah. Oh, great. The Las Plagas are back. My favorite. I love these. Fuck you.
So much sass.
Oh, it's just... It's supposed to be the climax of the game. They're supposed to be coming out with really, like, badass, like a build-up to the final big moment, right? But all it is just recycled bullshit, and it pisses me off. Devil May Cry 3 wasn't this bad in terms of build-up. I'm not saying this game is bad. Like, don't yell at me, YouTubers.
Well,
It's just...
here's my response to that. Is this not what we've been doing the entire game?
It is.
Now, to be fair, we have been getting introduced to new enemies throughout the game, right? So, yeah, like, we're not getting introduced to anything new in the climax, which feels even more cheapened. But we have basically been fighting the same monsters over and over again throughout most of the game anyway. So I'm actually really not surprised that they reused them all in the same manner, but that doesn't make it any better of design.
Yeah,
Just
no.
because there's consistency doesn't make it good. So, yeah, no, I understand your frustration.
Oh, now the ice crystal thing is working. What the fuck was that?
Dang. Do you think maybe you just weren't quite hitting the ice crystals before?
Well, I think it's just because I just said fuck it and I just hit Devil Trigger and immediately just started wailing on him.
Oh, that would do it.
Hey, I grabbed onto nothing. Oh, hold on. Let me prep my Devil Trigger because he's gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get frozen and then I'm gonna get eaten and then I have to hit Devil Trigger. Oh, look at that. They just fucked off. Boom! Look at that. See that magic?
Oh, dang.
It's almost like I knew, and now he's going away, and now they're gonna come back, and now they're gonna freeze me, and they're gonna give me some stupid red orbs for items I'm not gonna use.
You know, I feel like you did a better job fighting him the first time. Like, not the first
Like
time.
the
this
very
episode.
first time.
Like the very first time, yeah.
Which is weird because I didn't even know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe they made these bosses a little bit tougher. I actually don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Because, you know, all that literally would be are numbers that they tweak.
You moo.
Which is also generally a sign of pretty poor game design. Which, I'm not saying that could be done wrong or done poorly. Like, I'm not saying if you change things up in your game by tweaking numbers, that doesn't make you a bad game designer. If you rely on that and you only just like, you know, if you tweak it up like, oh, this guy's just gonna have more health and he's gonna deal more damage, like that's lame. Nobody wants that.
Boom.
Nobody cares about that.
Kill him.
You do things like, okay, I'm going to make him a little bit faster, but also a little bit weaker, but give him a little bit less or more health, and
Fuck
maybe,
you. You're dead. Go away. All right. Yes.
I mean, did you hear any of that?
I did. Tweaking them a little bit for this last thing.
Basically, tweaking numbers in game development is one of the easiest ways to change your challenge, but it's also one of the laziest, and it's higher risk in making your content seem like crap.
Yeah.
So while I'm saying it doesn't make you a bad game designer if you use it, I'm saying it's bad if you don't do it right, which is very easy to do, is to not do it right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like I've certainly fallen prey to that exact same thing too in my game. So it's tough if you don't have the time or the budget to make new stuff for your game. But you need it. Like, this game is long enough to where I would say it definitely didn't need it.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, I've worked on plenty of games where it was like, we have 48 hours to make a game. How do we have enough content to make this seem interesting?
Yeah.
Like, then it's like, well, I have to reuse stuff and just tweak numbers to make this game at even a little fulfilling.
Mm-hmm. By the way, in case people haven't noticed, Chris let me know that if you hit the die when it's highlighting a number, it lands on that number. So
It's so hard.
yeah, it's Mario Party.
Which, I think somebody commented on our channel and told me that, and that's how I figured out that was even a thing.
See. You can tell him, not me, huh? Okay, that's cool.
I mean, he probably told you too, but you're not the one that moderates the channel.
That's
so
fair. I just
you
occasionally comment.
You comment on your personal account so people can find you.
Yeah, whatever. You've said your first and last name anyway.
And find you and be a bully.
Oh, hey, dangly bits again.
I actually learned the other day that, so there was, I think this was done in China or Japan, I don't really know. And this is through, I listened to I think it was like a YouTube podcast, or podcast about YouTube, and they were talking about basically how to deal with trolls. Not saying that our commenters are trolls, but, it's something good to keep in mind, because the internet's full of them, right? Yep. And apparently there was a study done in China or Japan, because the podcast, they didn't know where it came from either, but a study was done that basically tried to determine if people were forced to use their personal information, like if their full name was on their account that they were using to comment on like a YouTube channel, would it make it less likely that people would be trolls. And it turned out it didn't make any difference at all.
Really?
Apparently people don't really care if it's their personal information or not. If assholes are going to be assholes is basically what it comes down to. So I thought that was incredibly interesting, though, because most people think that the anonymity, thank you. A lot of people think that is why the internet is a kind of a not so friendly place to be at times. But at the same time, as it turns out, that may not have actually made too huge of a difference.
Yeah.
Of course, the argument could be made is that has what allowed like that standard to be set. Now that the standard has been set, now people don't care whether or not it's their personal information. They feel it's their right to be an asshole on the internet. So
yeah. I like how I went to hit her with the Devil Bringer and like that special move and whatever. It like only affects her and whatever, and it wasn't even letting me register. It wasn't registering at all.
Oh?
Yeah. It probably was just me not getting a clean hit, but still. Really? You are not Kefka. You will give that laugh back.
Was she laughing while you were slicing her up? I still haven't played Final Fantasy VI.
Oh.
That's the one with Kefka, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's
boy.
People really love Final Fantasy VII, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I feel like I've actually heard the best things about 6.
It offered a story plot twist that nobody really has ever seen since.
Which is that the bad guy wins, isn't it?
He wins halfway through the game. And then you spend the rest of the game trying to amass enough power to even stand a chance, and you barely win at the end. Like, that's what's so interesting, is that the psycho, who you think is just some clown, yet one of the most lovable villains of the series. I say the series, I mean meaning all Final Fantasy games. Yes, I'm talking to you, Sephiroth. It offered such a dramatic, or a different way of telling such a story, a different element that people didn't really see coming. Mm-hmm. Like, when it finally happened, when things were finally starting to go to shit, I remember being like, wait, what the fuck is happening? What is happening? And then it all sort of came together, and I remember finally getting to the next part of the game, and everything, just the entire feel of the game got so much darker, and it was already pretty dark to begin with.
And I mean, if you think about the time that it came out, that was a new concept that the villain could actually win in a game.
And that's why I'm so excited, because like in certain games now, like they will have a bit, like we're in the era of lovable villains, and I think that really sort of came around with like Final Fantasy VII or Far Cry 3. Like people loved Voss?
We're in an era where anti-heroes are now our favorite heroes, and identifiable, like relatable villains are our favorite villains.
Like the Joker is like the number one most loved villain because he's just he's like the parts of our brain that we don't want to acknowledge. You know, the really messed up things you think about when you're like bored at home.
I mean, he's chaos. Like, he is chaos incarnate, at least in the recent incarnations of the Joker. Not to say that the past ones aren't. But...
Oh, no. I think Troy Baker's portrayal of the Joker for Assault on Arkham was fantastic.
I have strange loyalty to a lot of, like, professionals and actors and voice actors that I love, and so when I hear of anyone else being the Joker other than Mark Hamill, I'm like, oh, well, they're not as good, or they'll never be as good, or they're going to be terrible in comparison. But honestly, I was impressed.
Yeah. I love watching, and I think I mentioned this on one of our episodes, but there was I think it was Comic-Con like last year or something, where it was after Arkham Origins had come out, and that was his first portrayal as the Joker, and people flipped out because they were thinking like, holy shit, he sounds just like him. And
that was the thing. Instead of trying to like make his own new thing, he learned from the best, and then he did his own thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it worked, because we have this identity of the Joker now because of Mark Hamill. Well, I mean, partly because of Mark Hamill, but that voice is so iconic that, trying to do something incredibly different can really piss off a lot of fans. Yeah. And it only works sometimes, is basically the way I see it.
What?
Like the Dark Knight Joker, I think, was one of those few exceptions, and that was because it was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
But it was also because it was film. You can't really mimic the Joker's
even in film,
voice in that same way.
They still, like, for animated, they always go to Mark Hamill, whether it's video game or cartoon or whatever. For film, they always go Jack Nicholson or Mr. Romero, the original, like for the the TV show. Yeah. Like they, no matter what avenue you go down, there will always be groups of people that will prefer original content. Which, I mean, can you blame them?
No, not at all.
So, So there was some convention. It was Comic-Con, and they were talking to Troy Baker, and at one point somebody asked, like, so we were wondering if you could do the Killing Joke monologue, and he was like, oh god.
But he did it.
He did. What the fuck? Okay, can we talk about this?
About you getting your ass handed to you?
About this guy suddenly getting a move that saps all of my health and heals him.
Oh,
and then does this.
Oh my.
And now he's almost at full health, and now I'm dead.
Well, anyway, we're at the end of the episode, so, oh, you're not dead. But this is the end of the episode anyway, so,
Yeah, fuck you, dude. Fuck you and your sword birds.
So we'll kill him.
Yeah.
And, well, we'll
Only
see you
in this last
archives.
stretch, huh? See you in the archives!
Maybe it's just a matter of, like, you gotta hit him before he finishes that move. Maybe you can stun him?
Maybe.